Hi there, and welcome to Ian's Ngauge channel. I'm Ian. In last month's new arrivals video, I divulged that I'd purchased a DCC Ready Graham Farish Class 64XX pannier tank loco that had been revealed in Bachmann's Spring 2025 announcements. And in this video, I'm going to show how I fitted a DCC decoder to the loco. But first, let's see how the loco runs on DC. After the 64XX was run in, I put it through its paces on DC, so I'd be able to compare it with how the loco ran after DCC fitting. I use a Gauge Master combi controller for operating the locos on DC, and have found it to be an excellent controller. The model contains a coreless motor, which only drives the centre wheels, but there are pickups on every wheel. I've mentioned many times that I've usually found that the slow speed performance of N-gauge locos running on DC can be poor, but I'm refining my opinion. Since testing Sonic Models Large Prairie and J50, I've found their slow speed performance can be excellent, and similarly, this Farish model has excellent slow speed performance too. I put this down to them all having coreless motors installed, along with fairly simple drive mechanisms. The loco operates incredibly quietly when running slowly, and ran back and forth along the test track really smoothly at a variety of speeds in both directions. Overall, I thought that the Class 64XX exhibited excellent running performance on DC, and it would be interesting to see if it could be improved by DCC fitting the loco. To fit the decoder, we obviously first needed to get into the loco by removing the body shell. The instruction sheet suggests that this will be a simple case of removing a single screw, and then pulling the body shell away from the chassis. This sounded easy enough, but experience has told me that these things aren't always as simple as they seem. I found a screwdriver of a suitable size and began unscrewing the aforementioned screw. The screw came out easily enough, and lo and behold, after a little bit of wiggling about, the chassis dropped away from the body shell. So, it was that simple, and we were inside. As is the case with other short wheelbase pannier tank locos, it suggested that the 6-pin decoder that has its pins rotated by 90 degrees is used inside the cab of the Class 64XX. I'm not really a fan of these right-angle decoders, as they don't tend to be as advanced as their straight 6-pin decoder counterparts. Not surprisingly, a Bachmann 36-556RA decoder is recommended on the instruction sheet. But I'm also going to try fitting a Train-o-matic Micro 6P90R and a straight-pinned Zimo MX615N micro-sized decoder. The Train-o-matic decoder hadn't fitted into the J50 because it was too long, but maybe I'd get lucky and it would fit inside the cab of the 64XX. I wasn't sure how the Zimo decoder would fare inside the cab, so we'd better find out. Once inside the loco, the decoder blanking plate can be seen in the cab area of the loco. This is easily removed from the decoder socket by gently pulling on it, giving it a little wiggle if it seems to be stuck in the socket. Once removed, I did a quick test fit of the Bachmann decoder. At first I didn't think it was going to fit, as the wires for the motor seemed to be in the way. But it was okay, and the decoder actually sat above the wires once it was fitted into the socket. The Zimo micro-sized decoder was next, and as you can see, I really struggled with this one to align the pins with the holes. The pins were so delicate that they kept bending too close together, so it was impossible to get them into their correct positions. I persevered though, and eventually got the decoder into the socket. Now, I don't think that the body shell could be fitted with the decoder fitted in this way, as it seemed to be too tall and would foul the roof. However, if you were comfortable with snipping the pins of the decoder to shorten them by a few millimeters, or even bending them, then maybe it would work. I wasn't comfortable at doing either of those things, so decided to give the Train-o-matic decoder a try instead. Unfortunately, it didn't come close to fitting, as it was far too long. So I went back to the Bachmann decoder. Obviously, this decoder would only fit into the socket one way round, without fouling the chassis, and because it had much sturdier pins, pushed into the socket a lot easier than the Zimo decoder had. But would the decoder work? Before refitting the body shell, we needed a test if the decoder had been fitted correctly, so the chassis was taken to the train room and placed on track. And after a bit of a sticky start, off it went. I performed a couple of back and forth operations, and I was happy that all was well. I then headed back to the workbench to refit the body shell. Refitting the body shell was a simple case of slipping it over the chassis. It eventually engaged with the chassis with a satisfying click. The single screw could then be inserted and tightened to hold the two pieces of the loco together. I didn't tighten the screw too much for fear of stripping its head, but it seemed secure enough without going for an extra turn. Back at the test track, I changed the decoder address to the loco's running number. It was then time to see how well the loco ran on DCC. And as you can see, incredibly well was the answer. As seen earlier in this video, the loco had run very well on DC, and it continued to do so when running on DCC, but just that little bit smoother. The crawl was incredibly impressive, with the loco operating without stalling at speed step 2 out of 128. Right, it's time for a short running session, with the 64XX performing a short-haul mixed freight operation. Okay, so that's about it for this episode. I must say that the 64XX ran very well on DC, but as usual, once converted to DCC, it runs just that little bit smoother, especially when crawling. When I fitted a decoder to the Sonic Models J50, I praised it for how easy it was to get inside the loco. Well, I think we now have a new leader on the loco accessibility leaderboard. While the J50 had 4 screws, only one needed to be removed from the 64XX, so that has to be a win for the Graham Farish loco. In my opinion, securing the body of a loco to its chassis with screws really is the best way to do it. So if there's anyone out there listening who has any influence, let's see more of this sort of thing, please. My only complaint, if I have one, is that I now have 3 models fitted with these ancient Bachmann decoders. They don't support railcom or have any modern features such as active braking or that neat decoupling shuffle functionality. I guess we're stuck with that until manufacturers start fitting these smaller locos with Next 18 decoder sockets, which is what they really deserve. Anyway, have you fitted a decoder to this model? And if so, which one did you fit? And did you experience any issues while fitting it, or was it a relatively easy process? Alternatively, if you've got any hints, tips, useful tools or techniques to pass on to a fellow N-gauge modeller, or if you simply want to say hello, then please do so in the comments section. Anything and everything you've got to say will be greatly appreciated. In the meantime, thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully I'll have another update soon. Bye.